Hi, everyone. It's Lateisha Johnson, your prosperity coach, and welcome to this episode of Ask the Expert. I am so excited to have this dynamic boss woman on the line with me today. I have Lisa Goldenthal, who is an executive coach. And let me tell you, her resume speaks so much volumes. She is the best-selling author of The Boss Weight Loss, the creator of the original Skinny Jeans workout, which have sold over 100,000 units in Target and Walmart. And she's been featured on numerous mediums such as Life and Style magazine, CBS News, Thrive Global, and a number of others. She really is all about helping impact people through wellness and really transforming people's lives, specifically helping high impact CEOs, senior executive, busy entrepreneurs like ourselves, ladies, and more. Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. How are you?
I'm great, Lateisha. Thank you so much for having me on.
No problem, no problem. And how is it over there on the West Coast?
It's so freezing today. I don't know what happened. It was like summer on Saturday. No, not really. Like the Saturday before that, but what we think is freezing is probably like tropical for you guys. So I'll just stop right there.
Exactly. Right now on the East Coast, we're actually expecting snow. So I'll take your weather any time of day.
Okay, I'll stop right now.
So let's dive in. I mean, your resume speaks so many volumes. You have so much going on. Talk to us about how you got started in the wellness space and how your business has evolved over all of this time.
Well, thank you for that question, Letitia. I mean, I have been at this for over 20 years. I mean, it all basically started with my obsession with working out to just fight the inevitable battle of the bulge that we all fight when we love food and drinking and all that fun stuff. So I found that, I guess I used to think as when I was much younger that I could eat anything I wanted because I worked out, but sadly, it just never was true. So just through my own personal struggles of up and downs with trying every single diet there's been in the last 20 years, finally figuring it out, writing my book, The Boss Weight Loss with my 6 steps to success. I've always just been passionate about fitness, and then it evolved into weight loss and business, and it's all comes from a passion of liking what I do and wanting to serve more people. So I have simple systems that work and I love to share them with people so that they don't have to feel like I felt when I was younger. I used to feel like every Monday, like I was chasing the cat by the tail. And by Friday, I pretty much caught him. Then the weekend, I like binge eat and drink too much. And then a cat would slip out of my hands. And every freaking Monday, every freaking January, I felt like I was back there again.
I understand, totally get it. And let's talk about that because obviously most of us are thinking about our health right now, especially with the new year just breaking in. So what are some of those steps that you would give to those busy moms, those busy entrepreneurs who are, just really getting started again, maybe for the second, third, fourth time, but really starting fresh? What are some of those steps you would give to
Well,
us?
I'm happy to share my steps with you guys, and I really would encourage you to do them one step at a time. Because I think oftentimes in January, we bite off every step there is. Like, I'm never going to eat sugar. I'm never going to eat carbs. Only kale for me. And I'm going to run 15 miles a day. And that's just not sustainable. And as a matter of fact, diets are not sustainable and they just don't work. But my ninja secret that I'm obsessed with is the intermittent fasting.
Mm.
This is something that works for celebrities like Halle Berry, Jennifer Aniston, Hugh Jackman, and it'll work for you guys too. It's not easy. You know what? If anything was easy, everyone would do it and we'd all look like Jennifer Aniston. So I won't say it's that easy, but you're either in a fed state or a fasted state. And I've been getting amazing results with my clients. I had one client lost 40 pounds last year, one 25. And that's the basic main change to start with. You don't want to start with too much. So what I usually do is I have people start out on a 16-8 plan. So part of that time you're sleeping anyhow. So you're fasting during a 16-hour period. And what if I told you that breakfast being the most important meal of the day might not be true? In my
Mhm.
opinion, it's not. So I skip breakfast. I just have coffee, water with lemon, and then my first meal is like 11, 12. My last meal is 7 or 8, and it's flexible. If I know I'm going out, my first meal is 1, last meal done by 9. So I try to eat most of my meals, most of my days during an 8-hour window. And the changes in my body and my clients' bodies have been transformative since we've been doing intermittent fasting. But it's not just that, it's like it's actually good for your health.
Mm.
A lot of amazing things happen during times when you're not eating. And there was a guy, a Japanese scientist named Dr. Ashumi, who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2016 on a cellular process of regeneration that happens within our body called autophagy. And this has all these good processes within our body of recycling the old stuff, happens during times that you're not eating. So when you're not eating, you're putting yourself into a fasted state, which brings upon ketosis, where you're actually burning your own fat for fuel instead of sugar.
Wow, wow. That was really juicy, no pun intended. I can actually attest to intermittent fasting. I've been doing that over the past almost 60 days, and it's definitely has been transformative for me, especially with like energy, just having natural energy. And thank you so much for explaining what that is, because we hear so many terms, especially right now when everyone's on their health kick, and you're like, where do I start? What is that? So thanks for explaining that. Now, one of the things that you talked about is really having a process, and I really like that you focus a lot on a process and taking bite-sized steps. Let's talk about that when it relates to business, because you've been able to really sustain yourself and evolve over 20 plus years. Now, for a lot of us entrepreneurs, with the shift happening, with whether we had to shift online or because of the pandemic,
Right.
there is a lot of uncertainty. So talk to us a little bit how you've been able to sustain yourself, and also how you've been able to help transform your business during this shift.
Well, I mean, the unknown, it can cause stress, and it was stressful for me too. It brings up all kinds of fear. Like we're kind of constantly being hit by, is this ever going to end, or it's going to end soon, or what's the next thing that's going to happen? And our bodies weren't really made to have stress last for that many months and months and months. So it does take a toll on me and everybody else. And the thing is, we never really could control the unknowns in our life. This is how life is. So I want to talk about focusing on what you can control, because fear means that growth is happening.
Hmm.
But it's what we do with the fear that matters. You can take that fear and channel it into taking the good, all the good that happened from COVID. There's some good, maybe you're having more time with your family and your friends, and you're learning more technology. And there's ways to manage the emotional roller coaster of the corona coaster of stress. And I would encourage you guys to know that we've all been through it. This is the most traumatic year that any of our lifetimes that we have all experienced. And the good news, we're all still here, and we all have something that we're meant to do in life. And to me, it lit a fire under my butt like no fire's ever been lit under my butt before. And yeah, sure, there's overwhelm that comes along with that. I just jumped into every class I could, and I'm like, and I launched a podcast, and I launched a summit, and I launched a challenge, and I launched a webinar, and I was just like launch, 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 launch. Like I was driven, because before COVID, I was seeing people face to face. Once that happened, I could not. So I had to really
Mhm.
pivot. Like I do some face to face stuff online, but it's not really scalable what I can do with one person face to face when I have to travel. So I think it's good to start with the gratitude piece. You
Hmm.
can't be in fear and anxiety and stress, which are places that I normally do go to because I'm a very high strung person. from New York, and I'm just go, go, go. But at the same time, when you're grateful, you can't be great in gratitude and fear at the same time. So I would say just always choose love and always choose gratitude over fear and anxiety. And from there, you can get to a solution for your problem. There's always two solutions for every problem, but when you're stuck in woe is me, oh my God, and this is the problem, you're never going to be able to solve it. But once you get to a part where you're sort of reflective and look within and you're like, what is the good that can come of this? What can I contribute? How can I serve? When you get to a place of serving more people and wanting to make find the good in the bad of the icky year we all had, there's always a reason why this happened. Nothing just happens. And for whatever your beliefs are, I'm not here to say it was all good. Hell no. It was definitely not all good. But
Absolutely not.
what is the good you can take out of this hot mess we've all been thrown into? How can you pivot? How can you shift? What can you do differently? That's my suggestion.
That's so good. Like, what is the good that you can take out of all of it? And I love that you also mentioned you can't operate in love and fear at the same time. It's so true. And I am totally going to use the phrase that the phrase you just used, the Corona coaster.
The Corona coaster.
Oh
It
my
wasn't I
goodness.
didn't invent that, but I did a talk on that last night for my social media because it just we've all been through it. It's like we just don't know. Is it going to end? Is it not going to end?
Hmm.
What's next?
Right, right.
Is it ever going to end? And I want to encourage you guys to know that even though it's been hard for us, we're still here because we want to serve. So if you can make it about other people and not yourself, that's a big tip too.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good. And let's talk about that. Just going back to the Corona coaster. Let's talk about the effects that stress has on the body because I think us as entrepreneurs, we're so used to being driven or having the adrenaline up, but there's good stressors and there's bad stressors, hence the Corona coaster. So can you kind of talk about the stress, how stress affects the body and what we can do to overcome those destructive behaviors?
Oh, absolutely. Well, for me, what's always worked for me, because I'm just naturally a very hyper type person, exercise has always been the thing for me that calms me down, that kicks me out of anxiety. In particular, I know it's going to snow. I know you got to layer up, but if you ever can, get outside in nature, bundle up, and you can just appreciate all the beauty of nature. And if that's not an option, that's totally cool. Put on a workout at home and exercise at home because you can get all of those brain derived neurotropic factors, BDNF, you can get all the endorphins, all the powerful brain chemicals like dopamine that is happening in your brain when you move your body. Our bodies were not meant to sit still at a
Mhm.
desk on social media, and then you start finding that your posture is all getting schlumpy. So I say take some time to set your posture correctly, pull your shoulders back. You show up way more powerfully in a meeting if you have your shoulders back and you're like going into it like, I'm a lion. I'm going to
That's
crush this. So get yourself, as Tony Robbins would say, into state. Get yourself into a positive state. Think about what you can do for others. And for me, I think that meditation and mindfulness are a really good way to pull yourself out of stress and anxiety. So before I even get out of the bed in the morning, I have like strict rules with myself. I'm not allowed to look at social media and emails and drama before I do my meditation practice. And there's sometimes that doesn't happen, so then I'll do it later in the day because sometimes I'm working with people overseas and there's things I have to deal with at 5 in the morning. But in a perfect world, I'll listen to a guided meditation and then I'll focus on like what my top 3 things are that I want to accomplish for that day. And I think as an entrepreneur, I get a little ADD. So it's good to really zero in on what really matters. before the whole day escapes from me, and I was like, what did I do? I was on Facebook, I was on Instagram, I was on LinkedIn. What's this new Clubhouse thing? Do I really want to go there? And yada, yada, yada. So for me, mindfulness, being in the present moment, having a good mindset, setting yourself up for success. And when things take you out of that, because they do inevitably, I think having that meditation practice, you can bring yourself back to the breathing. Because when I get stressed and anxious, I find I don't breathe at all. So you can bring it back to like a basic 4-4-4 type of breath, where you inhale for 4 counts slowly, hold for 4 counts, and you slowly exhale for 4 counts.
Oh,
And
that was
even
good.
just breathing can
Mhm.
just calm you down from stress and anxiety. And when you think about others, you have a meditation practice, you have an exercise practice, then you're golden. I would say those 3 tips.
Oh, that was phenomenal. I just doing that right now, I felt a sense of ease,
Good.
and especially for women and women that are in business or even boss moms, it can become overwhelming and you can get anxious, right? So just that gave me a sense of calm. So I really hope you ladies are paying attention because that is so simple but powerful. So, speaking of powerful, I mean, you've been making such power moves for such a long time. I mean, everything from being on WebMD to CBS. I mean, you name it. You've been on a lot of different. You actually have your own podcast. So let's talk about, for those of us who are looking to really get our brand out there and our names out there. How can we break into really getting speaking engagements, media appearances? What are some tips that you have for us to be able to start doing that and to brand ourselves a lot better?
Well, for me, I'm not a branding expert. All I can say is it takes a lot of throwing stuff at the wall before something sticks. And first, I thought one person was my ideal client. Then I told you, I think on the phone, that I completely shifted it. But I think it all starts with falling in love with your ideal client and finding out, what do they need? What do they want? What keeps them up at night? Then once you have that person, give her a name. Okay, so that's your avatar or your ideal client. And so you start gearing all your social media posts and everything towards that one person, because you can't be all things to all people. So what I would say that I've learned from business coaches along the years that I've had is that niche is rich and broad is broke. So that you want
Mm.
to niche down into who do you want to serve. And if it's just like women over 25, that's too broad, right? You can't do that. You got to be like women over 25 who are divorced and single parents and they want to start a business. You got to find out who is your ideal client. And from what I've heard from coaches that I've listened to along the years, of which there have been many, um, it's sometimes you a few steps back. So sometimes some hurdles that you've overcome, you can coach others about those hurdles. You don't have to have 7 advanced degrees. You just have to be one step ahead of the person behind you that's coming up that you can coach.
Oh my goodness. I'm over here like it took everything in me to not scream. You literally just dropped the mic. You fire emojis, hand claps if I could do it, because that is the difficult part, especially, as especially for the solopreneur, because you're excited, you jump out there and you have to, in the beginning, be all things, and so you start marketing to everyone because you're wearing too many hats, and then you're confused and you're not sure. And you're so right. It's, oh my goodness, niche is rich. It's so true. And broad is broke, because you cannot market or be everything to everyone. That is so key. I really hope the audience was really paying attention to that one. So thank you so much for sharing that, Lisa.
You're welcome.
So
I've learned it the hard way. That's why I love sharing things along the journey, because at first, that fear sets in. You're like, well, what if I could have helped this other person, but only marketing to this one specific person? if that other person wants to talk to you, they'll still hit you up. There's no guarantee that if you're marketing to one person that you still can't help others, but you got to decide. All it starts with a decision. Who's your ideal client?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Lisa, you're such a wealth of knowledge. I mean, where can we find you? Where can we follow you, like you? Tell us more
Oh,
about it.
thank you. Thank you so much. I love coming on here. It was such a pleasure. I am all over the place. I have my book, The Boss Weight Loss, on Amazon. My new podcast I just launched, Whole CEO with Lisa G, is on Apple iTunes, and I still need reviews and subscribes. And if anyone's willing to do that, I'd be so grateful. And my website's Lisa G Fitness. My business is Lisa G Fitness on Facebook, and LinkedIn is where we met, my favorite social media. So I'm Lisa Goldenthal on LinkedIn, Lisa G Fit on Instagram. So those are the best places to find me.
Absolutely, and I'll make sure that all of those places of following you is are in the show notes as well. Now, one thing before we wrap up, and I'm so glad you mentioned this, is how we got connected through social media, and I think we don't really understand the power. We don't really always really em- we take for granted sometimes the power of social media, and I like that you put that plug in there. So just a shameless plug, definitely utilize your social medias to connect, build relationships, because if it wasn't for that, Lisa and I wouldn't even be here.
Right? Like you're where in Philadelphia?
Yes, that's where I'm
And I'm
based.
in California, so we wouldn't have met. And
Exactly.
I will add that the highest caliber of connections that I've been meeting since I've been doing social media is clearly on LinkedIn. So you guys should be on there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lisa. It has been a pleasure. We really appreciate you. And listen, I hope to get to see you soon. And because I would love to come to sunny California. Just to put that out there.
Come hang out. Yeah, that would be awesome.
We definitely will. So thank you so much for joining the show. And everyone, ladies, as usual, make sure that you don't just hear what she said, but you apply and make sure that you use it to your advantage. And we'll see you next time on this edition of Ask the Expert. See you soon.